Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of flooding Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to every nook and cranny receiving the signals from our 100,000 watt transmitter in northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest, Louisiana, northeast, southeast, Texas. Folks, we are flooding here in Kingwood. A lot of homes on the river or close to the river are underwater. I think our little hump is going to be okay, and I don't think we're going to get the flooding as deep as Harvey, but we hear that the dam is open as full, if not more so, than during Harvey, which puts the fear and scare in us right now, because we had 7 feet of water in the Starbucks, and this was back during Harvey, 7 feet of water in the Starbucks, and that fear comes back that we don't lose all these businesses again. So we hope and have positive affirmations to the ethos that doesn't happen again. If you are in Kingwood, folks, positive affirmation, brothers and sisters. But anyway, before we get started, let's go to our geniuses in the studio.
Well, good morning, Egberto, and welcome from flooding Texas. And good morning to Vancouver, British Columbia. Why the heck not? Yesterday afternoon, I have a small rant here. Yesterday afternoon, brother, I was listening to the radio, KPFT, of course, and then the traffic came to a dead stop. I mean, for miles and miles and miles. And I thought, okay, well, let me tune over to KTRH and see if I can catch a traffic report. Maybe there's been some type of horrible accident up ahead. It was weather related. But Sean Hannity was on.
Uh-oh.
The despicable Sean Hannity. And he was just going on about how Trump was rolling out the red carpet for all of the foreign dignitaries and meeting with them and being very presidential, and while dragging Joe Biden through the mud. I just don't understand. How does this happen? And why is he on the air? Why is he telling us this stuff? Is he a Trump supporter? I guess he is. How does the base continue to support a man who is criminally charged and has lost civil suits, has to pay, what, $500 million to the state of New York for cooking his books and being a crook? Good grief. And, you were just thinking, Sean, what is wrong with you? What has happened to your brain? Do you not see that this man is a crook and he's going to ruin everything that he touches like he always has? So that's
Money.
That is my rant for today. Sean Hannity, you need to start using your brain.
Well, it's sad. It is sad because I think more than anything else, support for Trump talks more about those who support him, and I don't want to be negative about it, but that we know the things that he has done to women, things that are illegal, immoral, all these things that he has done to women. I mean, we're not even talking about the policy-wise, just the things that he has done. And to put that guy on the pedestal that you support, one really has to question, everything. But I have a evangelical pastor on one of our videos, if we get to, that I think is going to make it quite interesting. But anyway, brother Jacques, ¿cómo estás, hermano? My newsletter was late.
Yeah, good morning. I didn't get anything on that. I had something else here. I've been thinking about what colonization is. Mm-hmm. Basically, colonization is a weapon. In Gaza, we're witnessing colonization in real time. Colonization makes the people the perpetrators of the violence against the indigenous populations. Your ancestors killed and slaughtered the indigenous natives so you could have a car, student debt, a mortgage, internet connections, 5 cell phones, 6 car notes, insurance and health care premiums that would rival the national debt. The banks are very happy. How happy and free are you, really?
I just have one cell phone. It said 6.
That's
Well, you're not a
about
family man.
No, I'm not. My dogs don't use cell phones. They wish they
your
could.
dogs. They don't.
Yeah. Well, the big one comes running up every time it dings or rings, and I say, "Hey, I think it's for you, but I'm going to tell him you're busy." And he just kind of looks at me like, "Aren't you going to let me have the phone?" I said, "Sure, I am." Wipe all the slobber off of it. Oh, goodness. Oh, you got a great show for us today. I feel it in my bones.
Yes, we have a great show. And by the way, do we have phones today, or we don't have phones today, or what's going to be the magic today? Or
I'll get them up.
To my knowledge, we have phones.
We do.
So,
wow. Okay, but let me just say, ping ponging off of Jack. Jack always put a teaser word in there. I think Jack likes to what's the word that you use when not bribe me? Say it again.
Muck rake.
Yeah. But not only that, you like to trigger me. You like to trigger me, because when he comes back and he says, "How free are we really? How free are we?" And then I always think about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I mean to do. Pose that little question. Just pose a little question that sits in your brain a little bit.
And speaking of phones, they're ringing right now. So we got to go. Go ahead, Egberto.
All right, let's get busy with the show, folks. First of all, we are, and this we always say from the depths of our hearts, we're honored that you're listening to us today. We have an ask. Please let others know about this program, this station, etc. Let them know that they have alternatives to mainstream media, that we're out here as well. And guess what? We only have allegiance to you. But anyhow, folks, today the title of the show is Right-Wing Preacher Calls Out Trump. This state rep gives me hope. And HCAD candidate Melissa Noriega. There is an election in Houston, in Harris County, tomorrow. And you can go vote at any location. Remember to go to harrisvotes.com, and make sure to vote in this election. The Harris County Appraisal District, I think it's called. Now they call it the Harris Central Appraisal District, but it's just as well Harris County Appraisal District. These are people that will affect your property taxes. They will make choices that will affect you going forward. So please be sure to go to it. I have interviewed Melissa Noriega. Melissa Noriega is running for place 2. Like you to go ahead and check the interview out. But since I have 2 calls, I'm going to take these 2 calls. I'm going to play the interview, then we'll continue with the show. Come on in, Ray. How you doing this morning, my brother?
Oh, hey, brother Egberto. I don't want to take too much time this morning, but I'm glad you're actually highlighting Melissa Noriega, because I don't know anybody, and I need personal references in that race, because I do think it's important, as tax policy is usually the crux of a lot of Republican talking points.
Yes. So I mean, if Melissa Noriega, I'm interviewing today. The election is tomorrow. Just go to harrisvotes.com to get the information as far as where you're the closest voting location to you, but also our buddy Neil Aquino. If you go to his site, either neilaquino.com or the Houston Democracy Project.com, he has some advice and stuff about the HCAD election. He's kind of follow what people do exactly, and so he gives you the pros and cons. So we try to have all that information out there. So he did a great job putting that together at HoustonDemocracyProject.com. But the election is tomorrow. They closed down early vote on Tuesday, but the election is tomorrow. And I'm asking people, especially in neighborhoods that usually don't vote, if you want to say in what's happening in your life, with your home, with your property, it's important that you go out and vote. They have these things that on off time elections, different date, all that kind of stuff, because they want low turnout so that only the people that have a vested interest, they will cater a group of folks to go vote. And with a very few people, decide your future. So folks, go out there and vote tomorrow. Anything else, Brother Ray?
Oh yeah, definitely. I wanted to touch on the subject of the brother that she spoke with yesterday. Well, I think I can't remember if it was yesterday. One of those days, someone called in and he said he was a Democrat, but he's a WASP, and he considers himself like a rare anomaly. And I'm like, I love how you kind of brought him home and said, brother, listen, look, the fact that you feel like you have to be a conservative white right wing, that's the thing they want you to believe. You don't have to be there. That's not where you belong, but we're glad to have you. And see, it's people like that, progressives like us need to really, hone into, because it's like, they're the ones that can be molded to pull to our side to say, well, I vote Democrat. Well, we want to make sure you vote for the best Democrat as a progressive. So, shout out to that brother for I hope if I ever, come across him in my, activist space, he's someone you could have a good conversation with, because he definitely belongs here. If he feels like, he's for the values that the Democratic Party has adapted thus far, then he definitely belongs here. And, he should make everybody who is maybe not there, he might be that one voice that could talk to the other side and say, hey, brothers and sisters, you know what? You don't have to be on this side. I'm on the other side, and I feel like they're on the better side of history.
I don't know if you noticed at the end of the conversation, I first of all thanked him for calling in. And by the way, that was on the 3:00 show. I thanked him for calling in. And the thing, when he started to talk, what hurt me is because the same thing that he said, as I guess he sounded more like he's an independent, right, kind of lean right a bit, but says he's progressive sometimes. I actually made a shortcut out of what he did, because I wanted to, I made 2 cuts out of what he did. But the thing that kind of touched was when he said, in effect, he was saying, I'm a white guy, and with all the identity things that's going on right now, there's no place for me. And what I got out of that is something that a white brother told me at a Democratic meeting. He came up to me and he said, Egberto, I want to say this, and but I can't say it because the Black and Latina women are going to really eat me up if I go ahead and say this. So I looked him straight in the eye and I said, let me tell you something, brother. I have to live in all these spaces. You have to live in all these spaces too. Go up there and say to hell what you got to say. And then he kind of pushed back. I said, and look, I got your back, bro. And the thing about it is, everybody should feel that this space belongs to them. Everybody. And what the Trump administration and other folks on the right are trying to do, and they're trying to do it specifically to white men, is that they're trying to tell them that somehow you are losing something because we're trying to elevate everybody. It is amazing the dynamics that's here, Ray. And I am so glad that you got that out of him also, because, I think that is the kind of stuff that needs to really make it. So thank you for actually noticing that and bringing it up on this show here, the 6:00 show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna, wrap up and let you play the video. I actually saw the video. And, it's a perfect example of, sometimes you got to wonder, and I hope conservatives pay attention, because it's like, this is a person who you identify with idealistically. This is an ordained man of God, okay? Mm-hmm. This is a man who actually went to school and went through the process of calling himself a man of God. He's not some fake idol like Trump, who wants to hold up a holy Bible with the Constitution in it and market it as a tool of capitalism. So, I give the man credit for that much. I'm not a fan of evangelical preachers either, but as far as a messenger, he's about as perfect as one can be for that particular message of saying how much of an imbecile and a moron and a fool that Trump is, and why everyone who follows him should think twice about why they put him so close to the holy entity that they find to be the savior of their life. He is no Messiah, and I love how that man breaks it down.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. That's the second video that I did, but I also did that video with that you heard yesterday. But I'll play that on the other show probably this afternoon. But look, thank you, brother, for calling in, and you have a great day, sir.
All right, you as well, and everybody, don't forget tomorrow is Election Day, and a special shout out to Mayor Turner. Happy 504 Day.
Take care, brother. All right, let's go to Harry. Thank you, Ray. Let's go to Harry. Come on in, Harry.
Thank you, progressive caller Ray. You said some kind things about me on a Politics Done Right, Egberto Willies show last year. I remember after I got through talking to Egberto, you called up and said, "I just love Harry. I love his progressive thinking. I love the way he talks every time he calls." I haven't forgotten that, Ray. And you're one of the people I did mention about I think about a week ago or so about thinkers on this show. You're one of Egberto's best callers. But I'm going to get into why I called. And I mentioned this to you, Egberto, I think last year on a show. I asked you if you had seen the movie Falcon and the Snowman. And I don't remember if you told me if you had.
I had not.
Seen that?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, I recommend that movie to you, Jack, and Howard, because, and good morning, Jack, and good morning, Howard. Love Jack's wisdom about the Native Americans and indigenous people, the history of that with when the Europeans came here and stole their land and all that, and why Europeans benefited. Very intelligent, as usual, Jack. But when Howard was talking about Sean Hannity, I call him Sean Hatity, and my brother Alan calls him that too. How can, is that Howard, I guess, because Sean Hannity, who's interviewed Donald Trump many, many times, has been affected by Donald Trump. He's suffering from Donald Trump deranged syndrome. But in the scene, I did mention this to you last year, Egberto, in the scene in the Falcon and Snowman early in the movie, because you know about those two individuals, Dalton Lee and Timothy, Christopher Boyce. Both of them was, Christopher Boyce was supposed to do 40 years. Dalton Lee was supposed to be in prison for life. And I had also mentioned this to you when my dad was a captain in the Air Force. He worked on that Bella satellite project, and that's when Dalton, in the movie, Dalton Lee and Christopher Boyce were selling those secrets to the satellites to the Soviets, and they violated the Espionage Act. And my brother told me recently here, we were talking about that since they got out, their sentence got short. And Christopher Boyce, he contributes to CNN sometimes, but anyway. Let's see. In the movie, they were doing the Watergate hearings, and Christopher Boyce was telling his dad was about Richard Nixon at the time.
Hey, brother, I got to ask you. I got to ask you to speed it up some so I can get to the other thing. So come on in for me, Harry.
I don't care what these people say. The man is innocent, and that's the point I wanted to make about Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity, like you were saying there, Howard. What's wrong with his brain? He supports a criminal because his thinking is, I don't care what Donald Trump has ever done in his life. The man, he's above the law. The man is innocent. And Arnie Arnesen had a guest on in the last half hour talking about Trump. He thinks he's above the law, and Ariana should mention one other thing. You can't work for Donald Trump unless you lie for him. When he was talking about the Michael Cohen and the Stormy Daniels and the
Harry, I gotta go. I gotta go to Ilan, but you always call in and give us some good things to think about, brother. All right? Let's go to Ilan. Come on, Ilan.
Egberto.
Yes, sir. Talk to me, my brother.
Yes, I had to have a chuckle because even if I doubled my income, I'd still be at poverty level, $11,000 a year. And I have 4 cell phones, iPhone 5, 6, 10, and 15. So I want to remind the listeners, hopefully we'll have more than a single-digit percentage turnout. But League of Women Voters has statements from the candidates. So if you look up League of Women Voters, you can get more familiar with the candidates. That's all.
Ilan, thank you so kindly for your call, my brother, and thank you for informing us on that as well. Like I said, what Ilan said, the League of Women Voters has information on all the candidates and recommendations at HoustonDemocracyProject.com. That's our brother, Neil Aquino, who comes on here on Thursdays and chat with us locally. Anyway, let's go ahead and play that interview because I want to make sure and get that interview with Melissa. Melissa, let me go ahead and click this here. Melissa Noriega. Here we go. All right. Welcome to another edition of Politics All Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Today, we are honored to have Melissa Noriega. Who's Melissa Noriega? Melissa Noriega is a former Houston City Council person and a former Texas State Representative. She is a graduate of the University of Houston. She is a Cougar. She is running for Harris County Appraisal District 2, an election that has consequences that few people know about, that by Saturday, they better know about. Melissa, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. Getting ready for Saturday. It's election day days from now.
Well, let me ask you, first of all, what exactly is this position that you're running for?
Last summer, there was a tax bill passed, Senate Bill 2, and we voted on it across the state in the fall. As part of that bill, there were 3 positions created in all counties over 75,000. There are about 50 counties that qualify, and each of those counties has to elect 3 appraisal district, board of governors, directorship kind of things in each appraisal district as a representative of the regular folks out in the voting world.
Now, what is going to be the job of these 3 new additions to the Houston Appraisal District, the Harris County Appraisal District?
It's the Harris Central Appraisal District. They changed it last year, and everybody says Harris County, but even sometimes we do. But it's Harris Central Appraisal District, and they have a pretty much a monthly meeting. They handle all the personnel and HR activities. They approve the membership of the Appraisal Review Board. If you've ever protested your taxes, that's who you appear before to negotiate what you're going to pay in your tax appraisal. And they do, the sort of administrative things that a board of directors would do. They don't directly affect your taxes in the sense that they don't set the tax rate. That's done by the legislature or by the various entities that collect taxes. In this particular group, it would be Harris County, HISD, the smaller school districts in the city of Houston.
So let me see if I get this right, though. You said that you all pretty much are going to vote for those people who are going to interpret, let's say, your appraisal, etc., which means they can raise or lower your appraisal, that sort of stuff. While you will not be doing that, the people that will be doing that, you are in charge of getting together. Is that correct?
we approve the folks. They're typically like a small committee, and there are citizen volunteers that do it, and they're chosen by the staff of the appraisal district, but they are approved by this board.
So therefore, you have a lot of influence in the kind of folks that you get there, since you have the ultimate goal of saying yay or nay.
It's interesting. These positions have been there in the past, but they were appointed. Now there are 3 elected positions, and 2 of them have to agree on every appraisal review board member.
Right.
So not only are you deciding that, you have to agree and have some veto power over it.
Okay, so as I see it, then you will have, and even though you don't have direct influence in the appraisal of property, you do have indirect influence on the appraisal of property, and that can actually have a material effect on how much money is collected for the county, and also, and that being said, how much services or lack thereof a county is able to provide, right?
Right, and they are also responsible for the website. If you've ever looked up property values on HCAD, that whole process is supervised by this organization and then the board of directors.
So, I mean, as I see it, it's a very important position now. You've been a state rep, you've been a city council person. It seems to me like you know the ins and outs of the way things should work. To give us a reason as to why people should vote for Melissa Noriega for this particular position. I think you have 2 other candidates that are running. There
are actually several folks running in place too. I would tell you that they created these positions last summer. They wrote it into the bill and they made them happen. I think it's possible that there are a lot of things they could make happen with these positions. They don't have to do it today. They could do it next session or the session after that. They could change how we collect taxes or how transparent or not transparent it is. There are a lot of things about different communities and how their appraisals are handled. For example, there's a Brookings Institute article that came out that talked about Black families and how they're paying 13% more than their fair share of appraisal taxes, and their properties are undervalued 25%. That kind of thing you can look at. You can do studies. You can see if everybody is being handled the same way. Is it fair? Is it transparent? Is it appropriate? Are we giving everybody a fair shake? And I think some of that is handled in Austin. And I think there's going to be a lot of interaction between all of the entities that collect taxes, particularly the schools and the legislature, over the next few years. And I think having somebody that understands that is an important thing. I want to point out that I have been in elected office. Before that, I worked for the school district. I was an educator at HISD for a long time. And so I've actually worked in the school district, in the city, in the state, and then this would be at the county level. And all of those things have to work together to make sure we have the resources for our kids, for ambulances, for roads, all of those things. There's been discussion at the state level about eliminating property taxes, and your first reaction might be, oh, yes, and no one really likes paying taxes, but I'm going to tell you that would drive sales taxes up 25 to 25%, maybe even 40%. And it would affect folks that have less resources the most. So I think there is opportunity here for both good and bad, and having somebody that can pay attention at all those levels and understands how it works is important.
I think you just pointed out a very important thing, that if we get people up in this position that are playing shenanigans with our appraisals and property tax rates, etc., we are going to have to mitigate it with sales tax. And sales tax is what's known as a regressive tax. What that means is that poorer people pay more as a percentage of their income and wealth than a wealthy person. And it's something that's been happening throughout the country for a long time. So I think it is important that the mere fact that you brought that up tells me that you understand the job. So in closing, why don't you tell us, first of all, how can people vote, why they need to vote, and why they should vote for Melissa Noriega?
The first thing, Saturday is it. That's it. Early vote is over. You need to go to harrisvotes.com, look up your address, and find out where you can vote that's closest to you. A lot of the voting locations you're used to have been consolidated, and it may not be your usual voting place that is the one that's open closest to you. In addition to that, some of the outlying areas have multiple elections. This is all of Harris County. This isn't just the city of Houston, and it isn't just one entity or another. It's the whole of the county, some of which have mud district elections, some of which have school district elections, and then there's this election. And in the city of Houston, unless you're in Senate District 15, which is the race for the unexpired term for the mayor that we have now, you don't have anything else on the ballot. So you may really not realize there's an election. We don't normally vote in the city of Houston in May. So there's a runoff election in Senate District 15. And then the rest of the city has 3 little places all by them lonesome that need to be voted on. But if you go out to the suburbs outside the city limits, you could end up actually going 3 different places. You could have to vote for your mud district leadership at one place, your school district school board members at another place, and this at a third place. That is not unique to this election, but it is confusing, and it's particularly confusing if you're not used to voting at all in May. So that's the first thing. harrisvotes.com, figure out where to go, and then go on over there with your driver's license and vote.
That is a sad case. So again, harrisvotes.com to find out where you need to.
It's a great resource. It's a great resource. It'll tell you just where you can go, and you can search it and find where you need to be. I would tell you, I have a record. I have experience at multiple levels of government. I have spent my adult life trying to really be a public servant. I've served on my civic association board. I'm currently on the board for New Hope Housing. I've worked in the arts district over here in the East End. That's really, been a real influence on what's going on in this part of town. I will tell you, one of the things that I've observed over time as I worked in the neighborhood, both as a city council person, state rep, whatever, people would talk about gentrifying and they were uncomfortable about it and they were worried their taxes were going to go up, particularly seniors. And I realized at some point that a lot of folks don't realize that there are exemptions. There are exemptions for over 65, for disability. There are things you can do to make sure your taxes are appropriate for you. And some people don't know to take advantage of that. That's another thing that I would like to see. I would like to see more information out into the community, more support for people. Just the form itself is so confusing. When I looked at it and I had to set it down and think about it and go back and look at it because it's a lot. If you are one category, you have to have it notarized, but not the other. I mean, really. So I think there are a lot of things that can be simplified, can be encouraged, folks can be educated. We can make sure the process is fair, transparent, accurate, appropriate, and trying to get things done in government, whatever level, whichever entity you are, is always a challenge. You can find it tough going if you haven't had experience in working your way through how bureaucracies work and how this stuff gets done. And I feel like I did a pretty good job at the city level getting things done. I was the chair of public safety. I was the chair of transportation infrastructure and technology. And I got things done. And I'm not a drama queen. I'm not going to be making a lot of speeches and being on TV or doing that. I'm just going to put my head down and go to work and try to make sure that everybody gets a fair shake. And if there are things that need work, I'll do my very best to fix them. we need the resources that taxes supply. We don't need to put every single burden that we have on middle and lower income homeowners. And I think there are things we can do to make all of that much better.
Melissa Noriega, folks, place number 2, go to vote. Go to harrisvotes.com. Go vote tomorrow, folks. This will have or could have a material effect on your taxes. And you want somebody who is looking out for the middle class. You want somebody who's looking out for those with limited resources. Melissa Noriega, a former city council person, former Texas state representative, and a graduate of the University of Texas, a Cougar. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, folks, I've known Melissa Noriega for a long time. She really is a good public servant. I can't tell you who to vote for, but I can tell you that that's who I voted for on Tuesday. On Saturday, please go out and do our civic duty and vote, as Howard would say all of the times. Vote, and vote. If we want to get the bombs out, if we want to get represented, vote and vote the right people into office. Johnny is on the line. Johnny, who is, and by the way, folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Llámame, por favor. Johnny, Mayor of Politics Done Right. How are you doing, my brother?
That was a mouthful, my brother from another mother.
Yes, sir.
I had 2 questions for her. So I guess I'll pose them to you and maybe someone in the audience. If you don't know the answer, that'd be fine. So here's my 2 questions. The question number 1 is, I wonder what the percentage is of all the people who contact her office with petitions. What the percentage is of people who are granted their requests. And then question number 2, why is it that people have to be proactive? She mentioned some people don't know. See, that's the key. Ignorance, that's what the system is based on. Profiting on people's ignorance. They're busy, especially seniors. They're distracted with health issues like in my family right now, and my neighbors who also have health issues. These things, when it comes to certain key time in life, certain things should be automatic by statute. In other words, there should be people in government who keep track of the voting rolls and know which households are headed by seniors and automatically adjust those property taxes on their behalf. That's what I think should be done for the greater good. And then there was another comment I was going to make, and now I can't remember because I'm having a senior moment.
Hey, we all get those, man, but that's all right. But I mean, I agree with you right there. There are a lot of things that they make us do, even though it should be automatic, because they want to have the option not to do it, and somebody on the other side benefits. So you're absolutely right about that. There are a lot of things that we could do in society that we don't need people's input every single year. We just do it. A good example is our basic right to vote. Why do you have to register to vote? Everybody knows, the whole system knows where you live, and the system knows if you're a U.S. citizen or not. Why do you really have to register to vote? These are things the forms of control. Anyway, continue, my brother.
So do you know what the percentage is of all the people who petition that office?
I don't. I know that I petition it just about every year when they give the what do you call it, the evaluation of my home, because it seems like every year they want to jack it up a whole bunch, and so we go ahead and challenge it every year. And
I'd like to see us nationwide, on a national level, apportion some of our so-called defense budget from the War Department and put it back into statewide coffers and earmark those funds specifically for relief of young people with kids and old people to keep them from losing their homes due to ultra-high property tax.
Actually, there's so much like that we can do, right? I mean, we as a society choose where to spend our money. Is it necessary in order to maintain world safety? Is it really necessary for us to spend $800 billion more than the next 9 or 10 countries' defense budget combined? Absolutely not. We chose to do that. All right. We elect people who choose to do that. Go ahead.
About some of that $1.7 trillion for that failed aircraft, military aircraft that they can't use. Why not we sell those planes to somebody for scrap metal and stop spending $1.7 trillion? And let's say a third of that. Take a third of that for the public good. Oh, and I just remembered what I was going to say. You said vote, vote, vote. If we were Republicans on KTRH, we would say vote often. But we're not about that.
All right. Thank you very much, Johnny. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, folks. Since there are no calls right now at 713-526-5738, I actually get to play another video. This is the one with the evangelical pastor. I think you are going to like this one because it's going to say, thank you. Finally, somebody on the right does this right thing. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side. The first video is an evangelical pastor. The evangelical pastor has some messages. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
It's an evangelical pastor delivering a forceful sermon denouncing what's become known as the Trump Bible as blasphemous and disgusting. So in March, Trump, as you know, began selling a $60 God Bless the USA Bible complete with copies of the nation's founding documents. The April 14th sermon by Reverend Lauren Livingston, senior pastor of Central Church in Charlotte, North Carolina, has gone viral, drawing millions of views so far. Take a look.
When you don't read and pray, you say, wow, there's a Bible out now that includes the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Isn't that wonderful? No, it's disgusting. It's blasphemous. It's a ploy. Are you kidding me? Some of you are so encouraged by that. Let me tell you something. The gospel is not an American gospel. It is the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. But Pastor, I bought the Bible. Really? You're telling me that you're encouraged because someone took a government, U.S. Constitution, a document that says we are of the people, by the people, and for the people, the people, the people, the people. And you have put it right beside the Word of God, which is eternal, unchanging, which says of Him, by Him, through Him, to Him, from Him are all things. And you're going to put those together and be happy about it? God forbid. Now, you can get mad if you want to, but I'm going to tell you something. If you glory in that kind of thing, you don't have a prayer life. If you glory in that kind of mess, political mess, you do not know what the Word of God says.
Let's bring in right now Russell Moore. He's the editor-in-chief at Christianity Today and leads its public theology project. We also have still with us David French. And you know, Russell, before anybody gets confused, this gentleman is not going to be a Democratic delegate to the Chicago Democratic Convention. His positions on abortion, on LGBTQ issues, on many other issues would not come close to fitting what the Democratic Party's message would be on those issues or beliefs. That said, that actually makes that a more stinging indictment among Republican evangelicals, I think, what he just said. Take us through what he just said and how it aligns with so much of what you believe and David and I believe.
Well, what he said shouldn't be controversial or even remarkable at all. It was an old-fashioned sermon against idolatry. It's the fact that we're living in such strange times that we even take notice of this. What I notice about this man is he's not scared. I don't know him. I've never heard him before, but there are so many people who are scared of their audiences that they're afraid of what's going to happen. And I guarantee you that this guy was being stopped in the foyer on the way out of the church to say, how dare you criticize Donald Trump? But he's recognizing that what's happening here is the politicizing of religion in a way that's not just destroying our politics, but also destroying our religion. Even the golden calf didn't charge admission. And we have now people who are selling products to us with our own sacred texts, mixing them together in some sort of a political marketing campaign. That is doing something really sick.
Absolutely. Join our movement. Let's see. Let me go back to the people. But before that, I want to handle my good friend, Lee Grant. He said, stay tuned for Christian bashing. No, that wasn't Christian bashing. That, in fact, all the things that I'm going to do about religion today has to do with finally some Christians stepping up to say, let's stop being a false prophet. Donald Trump as a false prophet as he tries to unite the Bible and the Constitution. Many of people are talking against it. Good Christians are talking about the evil of Christian nationalism, the evil of the merging of the Republican Party and false Christianity. And who's doing that, folks? These are Republicans or former Republicans or Republicans speaking up, or just good Christians speaking up about the evil that is emanating, that is metastasizing throughout the country.
We spend a lot
absolutely. So that guy is bold because given his congregation, and by the way, though, that is what leaders do. Leaders sometimes have to look at the congregation and wake them up and say, and when I say congregation, I'm talking about whatever the leader you are of. You have to get up and say, I got to buck the system. I have to break the stigma. I got to break out and tell you guys, let's start adapting the truth. But anyway, let's go to Jeff. Line number 1, Brother Jeff, come on in.
Hello, Egberto. This is Jeff. I haven't talked to you in a while. I was switching jobs, so now I have time to listen to your show again.
Well, talk to me, my brother. Thank you so kindly for listening. Talk to me.
Well, I don't agree with everything you say, but I like listening to you. Did you mention earlier that you shouldn't have to have an ID to vote?
No. What I said is that we all know who we are. In other words, the government, the system, the city all know who we are, our social security number, where we live, all that information is well known. If you have a driver's license, if you have any identification that can say this is who I am, you should be able to go in there and vote. You shouldn't have to register to vote, is what I said. And the reason I'm saying that is we know who you are. Go ahead, my brother.
So you're saying that you shouldn't you don't have to affiliate yourself with parties then?
No, I don't think, put it this way. I think the party system, especially now that we have the intercommunications that we have right now, I think the party system is one of the biggest detriment to our society right now. If you notice, there's a caller that calls in here often. His name is Joe. We are finally at the point where Joe called in once and said, Egberto, there are a lot of things that you talk about I agree with, but there are things that we probably will never agree on, mostly the social issues like abortion, etc. But if we were able to vote on policy, it's amazing where we could actually get this country. We'd have things like basic income. We'd have things like people who are aggrieved, which has no party affiliation, whether you're poor or not, would get policies that support them. So I'm with you if what you're saying is we shouldn't really have to have something called party affiliation. Continue, my brother.
No, I don't. I'm not really. I don't like party affiliations. I'm a MAGA guy, but I'll admit it, and I love it. But there shouldn't be all all this stuff nowadays is just going crazy. The hate of each side. And it just
I don't
makes
hate
me-
you. You're MAGA. I don't hate you.
I know that.
And you know what else is so great about it? I bet you and I could sit down and have a cup of coffee and agree on about 80% of everything. I would wager. I would look. Put it. You should call me out on that. I would wager that if we sit down and have a conversation, we agree on more than 80% of stuff.
Well, I'm going to have to bring backup. I'll have to bring Bard and Brian with me.
I would love to have all of you together. Actually, I would love to have all of you together and sitting down around the table of coffee, as long as it's some good Panamanian coffee.
Oh, no. There would be, if it gets out of hand, then I'd put my foot down because you don't do that. But another thing I wanted to bring up was all the stuff that's going on campuses. It's just nuts. I mean, I think I have to say Biden hit it when he said that there should be no violence involved. And from what I've read, that 50% of those people don't even attend school there, and they're protesting on the campus.
Okay, let me ask you this. I want to ask you, I mean, look, let's say those numbers are true, right? Let's call those numbers true. The University of Texas, right? You are a tax-paying citizen of Texas. If you decided that you wanted to go on the campus of the University of Texas and protest, you are simply protesting on a piece of land that you are also paying for. So I don't, people bring up argument or this points that I don't understand. What's the point? Because if Columbia is a different.
I'll go with you on that one.
You're with me, right?
I'll go with you on that one.
Thank you.
I'll go with you on that one. But the violence part of it.
I disagree with violence, sir. And one of the things about protest is to make things uncomfortable so that people listen. And a lot of people who protest do things that are in fact illegal, and they pay the consequences for it. In other words, a lot of those kids will pay the consequences for the violent portion of the protest that they do. But they did it. So a lot of times they do it for a consequence. What I don't like violence against person or personal property. I am with you. But what I'm saying is protest is not made to make life comfortable for anybody. It's made to make life uncomfortable.
In jail to do that.
Right. So you agree with me?
Oh, I think they should rot in jail if they do that. They should be sentenced to the maximum fines and time.
Okay, stop. Okay, stop right there, brother. Jeff. So the people who sprayed bear spray on cops on January 6th, you agree with that? That should apply as well, right?
Well, on January 6th, I'm not real.
No. Wait. Again, hold on. Jeff, listen to me here. My brother. If there were MAGA folks who sprayed bear spray on cops, if there are MAGA folks who stomped on cops' heads,
they should go to jail.
Okay, great. So again, remember what I said earlier. I said if you and I went for some coffee, I guarantee you would agree on most things. Because what happens is sometimes we cater things through a false ideology. But when we sit down and look at facts and the same, if you listen to the show yesterday, Melissa called in and said, Egberto, you were actually justifying some of the stuff that happened on January 6th. I said, I wasn't justifying just January 6th. I was saying these guys had the right to protest. Doesn't mean they're right, but they have the right to protest. Now, and they also have the right to suffer the consequences of their protests. So I don't see where the disagreement is.
No, I mean they need to crack down on them. I mean, just these are kids that are going to school and they're I'm not a racist at all, and they're putting anti-Semitic.
Hey Jeff,
I can't use that word.
Hey, Jeff, brother, let me just say one thing, okay? I have to go to 3 callers, and each of them will get 30 seconds. But I want you to call me back on Monday because I want us to continue this discussion. All right?
Okay. All right.
Thank you, brother. Peace. All right, Donald, you got 30 seconds.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, brother. Talk to me.
Okay, you were on the tip last week and the week. I've been busy. Okay, you said something about the face and the head cover and the other stuff. Why do these people have to hide their identity?
Again, sometimes people do that. I mean, there are times that you want to protest, but you don't want people to know who you are for several reasons. Sometimes you don't want to be known because you're in school and you're in a profession that'll be harmful. I've always been an activist, and I used to blog under the pseudonym Tolerant Liberal and Black Stallion. I didn't want people to know who I was.
But if you believe in what you believe in, that's your choice. But also, people you run around with
Donald, I gotta let Donald look. We talk. Donald. Let's brother.
We'll pick it up Monday. I'll be on there early.
We'll pick it up Monday. All right. Tag, come on in real quick. Get 30 seconds, brother.
I think people got to not get confused protesters with counter protesters.
Right.
And that's a very, very important issue, which people are overlooking. The other issue I want to talk about briefly is the fact our government was set up to keep politics separate from religion. And that is a issue which has been, has passed away. So people don't know the words of Christ and what he taught. And you just can't say, I believe in Christ and not know what he taught. So I think we got some basic issues here that people don't consider. Okay, we'll see you, Egberto.
Thank you, brother. Let's pick it up on Monday. Brian, 30 seconds.
Yeah, why is it called protest? It's not called protest. It's freedom of assembly. It's in the Constitution. My wife is very, very disgusted with these so-called students that are protesting. Okay? She went through Tiananmen Square, 1989. She was a Chinese language instructor, number 27 middle school, Beijing, China. You want to talk about protest and freedom of assembly? Those students were killed, 3,500 of them. The killing went on for about 3 days.
I remember well, Brian. I want to take up Tiananmen Square because, believe it or not, you're also agreeing with me by bringing that up. But let's talk about that on Monday. Brother, you just agreed. You just agreed with me, but we'll talk a little bit later, sir. I gotta go. Let's go to the studio.
Well, I'm very surprised that the Trump Bible didn't catch on fire when he was holding it, because I think it's probably just a cover. I think it's just a cover, it was some steamy novel that he had there. So anyway, that's my thought.
Jack. Thank you, my brother. Jack
says nothing.
All right, J. Ray, thank you for the chat. Steve M, thank you for the chat. AR, thank you for the chat. Anyway, folks, thank you. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Love you all. Love the callers. Love the listeners. Keep listening, sharing about what we do here at KPFT. My name is Egberto Willies. This is I forgot. Go to politicsandright.com/newsletter. Politicsandright.com/newsletters for what we hadn't covered yet. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.